I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time are best aligned.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days of darkness. No, we in the hands of the greatest artists. I see it in the waters, I see it in our daughters. They could be bridges that know no borders. For so long, them folks try to ignore us. So we got the ballot boxes to vote for us. Peace to Stacey and the people of Georgia who galvanize so that we can move forward. Steps are ordered with the presence of mind. Everything's more beautiful in time.
Shine,
You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580 of Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa, because we're fancy like that. Tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580, and there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union powered by KBLA Talk 1580, the only Black-owned and operated talk station west of the Mississippi. Did you know that? I knew that, and now you know that. And with that, it is we have a great show. We have a great show lined up for you. In a bit, we'll be talking to actor John Clarence Stewart. He'll be with us in just a bit. If you loved him in P-Valley, you're going to love him in this new Hallmark movie, Hats Off to Love. We're going to talk all about that in just a moment. And then a little bit later, we're going to check in with Justin Carter. He is senior correspondent at the Shade Room and host of TSR Investigates. He's going to give us the skinny on the latest in the Diddy trial in New York. And then in our second hour, we'll be talking with the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta, Pennsylvania State Representative, and also the Democratic National Committee Vice Chair that may have to run all over again. We're going to get to the bottom of that telenovela, as he calls it, in the second hour. But now it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, a bit of good news. Indian academic held over pro-Palestinian views has been released from ICE jail. The Guardian is reporting that the Georgetown academic Badar Khan Suri was released from ICE detention just hours after a Virginia federal judge ordered it today. Khan Suri was among several individuals legally studying in the U.S. who've been targeted by the Trump administration for their pro-Palestinian activism. He has spent not 1, but 2 months in detention. U.S. District Judge Patricia Giles in Alexandria, Virginia, said that the ruling was effective immediately with no conditions and no bond. She added that Khan Suri's release was, quote, in the public interest to disrupt the chilling effect on protected speech. She mentioned this during the hearing. The judge also explained in her ruling how the government did not submit sufficient evidence on several of its claims. And in other news, speaking of the courts, did you all hear about this? The Menendez brothers are one step closer to freedom. This is what you need to know about their case. NPR is reporting that Lyle and Eric Menendez, who've spent more than 3 decades in prison for fatally shooting their parents in their Beverly Hills mansion, were resentenced just yesterday, moving them one step closer to potential freedom. After a day-long hearing, LA Superior Court Judge Michael Jessic reduced their sentences from life in prison without parole to 50 years to life. Now, to the undiscerning eye, we may say, what's the difference? But this makes them eligible for parole under California's youthful offender law because they committed the murders before they were 26 years old. For those of you who are less familiar, the brothers were found guilty in 1996 of murdering their parents, Kitty and Jose Menendez, in 1989, when Eric was 18 and Lyle was 21. The brothers maintained that the killings were in self-defense, saying that they had been sexually abused by their father and feared for their lives. And NOAA is scrambling to fill forecasting jobs as hurricane season looms. Look, I've been talking about this for a minute, but for folks who live in the path of a hurricane, this is a real present danger. Some National Weather Service forecasting teams are so critically understaffed that the agency is offering to pay moving expenses for any staff willing to transfer to those offices. That's according to notices that were recently obtained by the Washington Post. The workers shortage have forced several offices to stop operating 24 hours a day, a drastic step for an agency whose ethos is to prepare and warn the weather-ready nation. When we come forward, I'm really looking forward to speaking to this brother about his latest project and also how he's using his platform to lift up Black men and our health, not just from the neck down, but the neck up. I'll explain when we come forward. More with John Clarence Stewart right here on A More Perfect Union.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast. Oh my God. But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say.
Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Flip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you. Love you.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PUSH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Hit me.
National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to welcome to the show John Clarence Stewart. He's an actor and singer, best known for his role as Simon on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. Prior to that, you might recognize him for portraying Alex Wesley on Luke Cage and Lionel on What If, but one of my favorite characters he played was Big Teak on P Valley. He's here with us today. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing? Nice to be here.
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So good.
Well, you are doing really well because you're doing a lot of things, including this new Hallmark movie, Hats Off to Love. I'm just really impressed by your range, from your character on P Valley to Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist to Luke Cage. I mean, you play characters that have quite a bit of range, and then you play a range of characters. Talk to us about what led you to this Hallmark film.
Well, what led me to the Hallmark film? Well, one, I want to say thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for that reflection. I really do. I think that there's something to be mined in every story, in every person, every character, and to really give them, to offer myself to give them texture and all of the different layers that we deserve as Black men being fully realized is a privilege that I get. So it means a lot. Hats Off to Love came, that was the script was sent to the team and I read it, and it was an offer that came in and it was beautiful. I said yes to it because it has so much heart. Like, it just has so much heart in it. And it's so much about, the lead character. She really has her dreams. And it's these two people with their dreams, and what are they going to do for them? And how are they going to support each other in doing that in this kind of unlikely romantic meeting where they end up being the voice that each other needs to step into that next version of themselves. And Hallmark movies are really special. They are. There's so many different people that see themselves in the films and that need stories that have that light in them. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. And also Holly Robinson Peete playing my mom. Like, that's what a gift that was.
Oh, wow.
Just incredible, so generous. Yeah.
That's incredible. So you just gave us another reason to tune in to Hats Off to Love, which premieres on the Hallmark Channel this Saturday, May 17th at 10/9 Central. Talk to us about the importance of, stories like this, narratives like this with Black actors in a time such as this. One of the things that we attempt to do with this show each and every day is center Black leadership, Black genius, Black humanity. And it seems to me that in this Hallmark film, I can't turn away from the Black humanity that you all are featuring in the story.
I think that you just hit the nail on the head. And I think that we deserve to see ourselves in all the different layers and textures. You know, we deserve to see ourselves with our hopes and our dreams, with our joys, with our conflicts. And I think that with this Hallmark film specifically, it's there's still some drama in it. There's still some tension in it, you know, but there is so much light and there's so much love and there's so much care. And we deserve to see ourselves. And we deserve to see ourselves caring and being cared for, loving and figuring it out. And I think it's so important right now because there is such a chaotic, tumultuous, global climate. And so every story, I think this way about everything when it comes to storytelling. I don't think that storytelling is not neutral. No matter what you do, it's not neutral. It's not a throwaway. It matters. And it matters for young boys to be able to see me in a role like this. It matters for other men to see themselves like portrayed. It matters for Black women to see themselves in the space of like with Holly's character having so much and going through the grief that she goes through and still reclaiming her innocence and her youth and her light and all of that. You know, these are things that we can take for granted, you know, but it's those things that make us whole. It makes us, it makes us whole. And so I'm really grateful because this film, I think, does a beautiful job. Amy, our director, was very, very specific about it. And Jenna Claire, who played opposite me, who's just incredible, so kind, so generous, Broadway star, amazing voice, all of those good things. Everybody was on board with, number one, making this the best that it could be, and number two, making sure that it had a heart and a soul. You know what I'm saying? And I think we need that so much right now.
Yeah. I mean, just hearing you say that, it's reminding me. There was a clip I saw on social media. Oprah was promoting her new book club selection by a relatively new author. I think his name is Ocean Vuong. And, you know, he was talking about, you know, growing up as the son of a mom that worked in a nail shop. And, you know, he talked about how meaningful it was to have Oprah select his book for her book club. He also mentioned how the Oprah show when he was growing up would be on in the salon, and mom and so many other women were so attentive to that and were fed by the stories that they heard on the Oprah show. And he said something during this interview that really stuck with me, and you just triggered it. He talked about his life as an author, and he talked about the power of reading and how it can be a ticket into the discourse. And I never really thought about it like that. I think all storytelling, all great storytelling has the power to do that, to be a ticket into the discourse. You know?
Absolutely. I love that phrasing, a ticket into the discourse. I think it acknowledges, the thing that hits me is that it acknowledges that discourse is an ongoing thing. It's a train that's moving and moving and moving and moving. And so many times what we can feel like is that everybody's talking about us, making decisions that affect us. And we are somehow standing at the train station watching the train go by. And like storytelling is that invitation into the train, into the conversation that's happening. And when it's done beautifully, which is, for me, it's when it's done specifically, because I think specificity makes things universal. When it's done specifically with care, even if it's something that's dark and challenging, it's the thing that makes people not only get on the train, but see themselves on the train and notice the different things that affect them, that it makes the world feel smaller, more connected. It also allows us to cut through the noise of division and fear. And I think storytelling is just I love that you said that. I'm familiar with some of his poetry, some of their poetry actually, and their Ocean is just fantastic and beautiful and so vulnerable in how they write and how they communicate through the word. And so it's just wild that you brought that up right now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful clip, and we'll have to have him on to dig a little bit deeper. But while we still have you with us, let's shift gears and talk a little bit about some of the work that you're doing to lift up Black men and lift up normalizing mental health, optimal mental health. We talk so much about, men's health from the neck down. We don't talk nearly as much about it from the neck up. Talk to us about how you're using your platform to invite Black men into the discourse around mental health.
Well, one, it's mental health in general is something that is just incredibly important to me. It's been a part of my journey. It's a very specific part of my journey. That's why I became an actor. That's how I stepped into this at all in the beginning. Storytelling was my ticket into myself, really. It was a ticket into the different versions of myself that I was afraid of, or it was it's almost the ticket from the head to the heart, right? Mm-hmm. And so in my work, I'm writing. That's a huge part of what I do. I'm writing. I have 2 journals that I've been working on. One is centered around grief, which is a huge part of my life. I lost my dad when I was 19. And so loss, and I think that there's not a lot of language for Black men when we're navigating grief, when we're navigating that. And it's something that can be very jarring and major, like the loss of a loved one. It can also be moving from one place to another. It can be losing a friend. It can be leaving a job that you really liked and you're moving on to something else. Grief is this state of transitioning from one space to another space with the ache that happens. The ache that sometimes there's not a lot of language or not a lot of places where Black men feel safe communicating the reality of where we are. And so the journal is an invitation into that for Black men. And then the other journal that I'm working on is about community and the importance of not just being in proximity to other Black men, but creating a framework so that Black men can ask certain kinds of questions, can create safe space amongst ourselves so that we can be seen and see each other. And so it is, I think sometimes there's a lot that can be said about the things that we have to fix and the things that we have to change and how bad or wrong or all of these different things. There's toxic masculinity. There's all of this language and all of this reality, and I think that all of that needs to be dissected and wrestled with in community, right? In our time alone with therapists and support that's qualified, And also, one of the most important things for me is to try to dream of the new archetype. What does that look like? What does it look like to move in the world and live in the world and be moving from a place that embraces masculinity and femininity and a balance of the two, What does that look like? What does that feel like? And inviting Black men on, a lot of Black men are already on that journey, but if they're not, inviting them on that journey, which is an ongoing thing.
No, I love that, and we definitely are going to have you come back on so we can dig into these journals. I think journals are a great tool for us to use, as you also just mentioned. Engaging with a qualified therapist, being in community. In our remaining minutes, John Clarence, I've got to ask you. Well, first I got to point out, most recently, a lot of people saw you as Big Teak in the latest season of the hit show P-Valley, written by Pulitzer Prize winner, I love saying that, Katori Hall.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how P-Valley is doing a little bit of what you just said, widening the lens, demonstrating some radical imagination when it comes to Black masculinity.
I think that Katori is a singular artist and innovator and thinker and storyteller. I think that P-Valley is doing just a phenomenal job. It's one of the greatest privileges that I've had in my life to have played even a piece of that overarching story of this community and the way that they're navigating and exploring Blackness in this way that's thorough and complex and relentless and honest. And when it comes to Big Teak and the gift that she gave me with that role, there's such a the gift that she gave me was being able to explore the psyche and the soul and the heart of a man who is going most of his life not being seen.
Yeah.
Just like not being seen, not being known. To go through the process of, and for her to create the framework where he goes from not being seen to being seen, and then makes decisions in his life based on what he can live with. And I also think that there's such a courage. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, John, when we come forward, we have to switch gears, but our thanks to you for talking with us and sharing with us. We definitely want to have you back to talk through some of the journals you've been working on. We want to remind our audience to go out and check out your Hallmark movie, Hats Off to Love. It premieres on the Hallmark Channel this Saturday, May 17th, 10/9 Central. Our thanks to John Clarence Stewart. Come back again soon, brother.
Will do. Bless you.
Bless you.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he's fixing policies left by former Governor Andrew Cuomo, including efforts to close illegal cannabis shops.
I had to clean up a lot of the stuff that the former governor did.
This comes as a recent poll shows Cuomo leading the mayor's race with 37% of likely Democratic primary voters. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene's call to pardon Derek Chauvin drew backlash from the Georgia NAACP, who called it a, quote, grave misunderstanding of justice, end quote. They say his conviction was based on clear evidence and a pardon would dishonor victims of police violence. And former Black Atlanta Mayor Andrew Young was honored with the National Jewish Health Humanitarian Award. Current Black Mayor Andre Dickens and former Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who is also Black, joined others in celebrating his lifelong service and civil rights legacy. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Echo Park stall for the 101 southbound at Glendale Boulevard. Left lane is blocked. Delays from Sunset. Mid-City, another stall. 10 eastbound at Vermont, blocking that left lane. Delays out of Santa Monica from Centinela. Downtown LA, 110 southbound before Olympic. Conked out car in the second lane from the left, and the drive loads up away from Hill Street. Rancho Cucamonga, crash on the 210 eastbound at Carnelian. These guys are out of lanes to the right shoulder. You're on the brakes away from Mountain Avenue.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers pitching staff needs to regroup. 5 pitchers gave up a combined 18 hits Tuesday night in the Dodgers' 11-1 loss at home to the Oakland A's. The Dodgers pitching staff will try to be a lot better tonight. First pitch at 7 o'clock. Golden State Warriors star Steph Curry, sidelined with a hamstring injury for more than a week, was cleared Wednesday morning to do shooting drills and light on-court workouts. He will not play in Game 5 tonight at Minnesota. The Warriors need to win to avoid elimination. If the Warriors win, there's a chance Curry will be available for Game 6 on Sunday in San Francisco. Morgan Price, a highly decorated gymnast at HBCU Fisk University, is transferring to Arkansas. Price was a 6-time national champion at Fisk. Price is the first HBCU gymnast to earn a perfect 10 in NCAA competition. She scored a 10 on the uneven bars in a meet in February. Price will have 1 year of eligibility at Arkansas. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Come to
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I am delighted to be in conversation with my friend and colleague, Justin Carter. He is the senior correspondent at the Shade Room, and he hosts TSR Investigates. He's here to talk about the ongoing federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs. In case you didn't know, Justin and the Shade Room, they've been on the ground in Manhattan since day one, and he's here with us. Welcome to the show, Justin.
What's up, my friend? How you doing?
I'm well. Good to see you.
I know it's been a minute, right?
It's been a minute. There's a lot of news that has happened since the last time we saw each other, including what a lot of people are calling maybe the trial of this century. This is the Diddy trial, the federal trial in New York. Catch us up. What happened today in court?
Yeah, Doc, I will say this was, again, round 2 of testimony. This is day 2 of testimony for one of the star witnesses in this case. Of course, is Cassandra Ventura, who, as we all know, is Sean P. Diddy Combs' longtime 10-plus year girlfriend. We've seen them on red carpets. We've seen them in happy times. But really, they are painting a picture of just darkness, the dark cloud over their relationship. So day 3 really got into more of the freak offs, more of what Cassie was required to do in these freak offs. She was told to pretty much be quiet and let Diddy take charge, take the lead. And as we heard yesterday, disgusting. I mean, you can't even really describe, these allegations. She was forced to, do these freak offs on her period. There were blood all over. There was blood all on the balls. There was urine. Again, some of these escorts were required to pee in Cassie's mouth to the point where she choked and had to, in court, she, the prosecutor said, "Cassie, why didn't you tell them to stop?" And she was like, "Sometimes I did tell them to stop, and I would signal and I would wave my hand like this to indicate that it was too much. I'm choking and I can't do this anymore." So we heard a lot about that. She said in court that she tried to fight back as well every time he did get physical against her as well, whenever there was violence. She said that, and this is, I'm quoting, "I learned that it could escalate the fight more and make it worse for myself if I did continue to fight back." She also testified in court today. This is the first time we're hearing this, that she got a black eye and a fat lip right before an event where she had to be in the public. I don't know if it was a red carpet event, but she was injured and she had to put on a lot of makeup to cover the bruises, the fat lip, the eye. And after that incident, this is the 2016 incident in the hotel that we all saw. It was that specific moment where she got the black eye, the fat lip, and she testified in court that after that was all over, she took an Uber back to her apartment. Her friend was there, and he actually showed up to her apartment as well, banging on the door, saying, "Answer the door, answer the door." Prior to that, he was calling her nonstop, which is pretty normal. She said that was pretty normal. He was a frequent caller. If she did not answer the phone, he would call her like 20 times in a row. He was that kind of guy. So she testified that police were called. This is the first time we ever heard that too. To this point, we had no idea if police were involved. She said that police were called after her friend suggested that they call police, and Cassie refused to give up his name. And so police left, and it just was washed because she was too fearful. And she said she was not ready to tell her story by that point.
I mean, so much of what you have outlined in terms of what took place in court today, anybody, that has heard enough stories of women in domestic abuse situations, there are so many striking similarities here, right? I also understand the jury was shown security video that you were just referencing. Talk to us about anything that was observed from members of the jury in response to the video? Were folks wincing? Were folks looking away? What's your sense in terms of how the jury is digesting these insights?
Many of the members of the jury, and it is 8 men and 4 women, ages 30 to 74. So we're really getting a wide gamut of people here. And for the most part, when shown the video of that altercation that we all know of in the hotel, they're taking notes, they're observing. Many of them look down sometimes to take notes, take additional notes. But for the most part, many of them have seen the video before. So it is not necessarily something new that they've seen, but something else that I want to tell you is for the first time too in court today, court staff put privacy security screens over some of the monitors that we've all been looking at, because prosecutors now are showing them evidence of some of these freak-offs. And so they don't want the public, they don't even want the lawyers on their like little monitors. They don't want even those pieces of evidence that the lawyers have on their monitors, because it can be seen by the public behind them. So really the jury is getting glimpses of these freak-offs. And that is something that is interesting to me, because one juror today, she was a woman, she held her heart. She held her hand over her heart and kind of clutched her pearls a little bit after she saw a few pieces of video, still images, not video, of some of these freak-offs. Another man, he moved his eyes quickly away from the screen because it was just so damning to watch. Another juror was noticed just kind of taking notes of these freak-offs. So God knows what was shown. We'll never know. The jurors know, prosecutors know, and the defense know, and the judge, but we'll never see this. But that was some of the reaction from the jury today after seeing images, still images of some of these freak-offs. And again, these freak-offs, typically it was Cassie, it was an escort that they hired. Yesterday we heard that sometimes they hired them from Craigslist. Sometimes they hired them from Backpage. I mean, someone with that amount of money hiring escorts from, these online sources was interesting to me. But, generally speaking, a lot of people that I knew, including myself, I thought a freak-off was, 10, 15, 20 people. But we're starting to realize that these freak-offs were really intimate encounters between Cassie, the escorts that they hired, and Diddy, who often recorded or filmed.
That's really great reporting, Justin, because I was under the same assumption that these freak-offs were, sort of mini Freakniks, more freakier than Freaknik, but you get my drift. But I asked you how the jurors seem to be responding to the video and to some of the testimony. Any hints on how Diddy was responding? What was his body language like? Was he in constant communication with his lawyer next to him, perhaps? How was Diddy responding to this in the courtroom?
Yeah, Diddy is very attentive. Over the course of the last few days, he's made sure that he's kind of had a poker face. I think he does not want to show too much emotion, but he's also paying attention. He's looking at Cassie. Again, they hadn't seen each other in 6 years, and seen each other publicly. So he's been very stoic. He oftentimes will mouth "I love you" to his mom, or give a little heart to his family. But above all, he's just been very attentive to a lot of the evidence that's been submitted to the jury. During one of those incidents where some of those freak-offs, the pictures of the freak-offs were shown to the jury, he had to squint and look over to maybe analyze what he was seeing. So he's just paying attention.
And speaking of his family, we know that his family has been in the courtroom most of this week. What observations have you noted from his family, particularly his daughters?
Yeah, I saw them on the 26th floor. It's interesting. Whenever we take a break, we are all let out in the same lobby. So I'm literally crossing paths with both of his twin daughters, his other teenage daughter, his sons, Christian, Justin, Quincy. So really, it's interesting. They all they wear similar color clothes. So black and white was yesterday. And oftentimes they will pray in a circle before they go into the courtroom. And it seems to me that they are just kind of going through the motions. There's not a lot of smiling. I do honestly, I do see fear in his twins' eyes. I just see a few times they had to leave the courtroom because of some of the things that one of the alleged male escorts was saying in the first day of testimony. So they did have to leave, or they did want to leave a few times during that testimony. But all in all, they are taking it all in. Not a lot of smiling, a lot of prayer. And I feel they're just doing the best they can to get through this.
When we come forward, more with Justin Carter. He is senior correspondent for The Shade Room. He's also host of TSR Investigates. He has been at the Diddy trial covering it since day one. When we come forward, Justin, I want to ask you about the Me Too movement and hip hop in the industry. It's not just Diddy that's on trial. I suspect, hip hop and Me Too are also on trial. I want to get some of your insights related to that and more. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Justin Carter when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine every pregnant person in LA County having the support they deserve. A doula on every block. Doulas provide emotional, physical, and informational support during pregnancy, through labor, and beyond. Medi-Cal now covers doula care. That means you can get the support you need or train to support families in your community. The LA County Medi-Cal Doula Hub is here to help. Learn more and get started today at ladoulahub.com.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We face tragedy, but we don't
fall into despair.
We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to be in conversation with Justin Carter, senior correspondent for the Shade Room, also host of TSR Investigates. He has been on the ground in Manhattan since day one of the Diddy trial, and he is here giving us the skinny. Look, during the break, Justin, was having a conversation in the chat with my sound engineer and brother friend Andy, and before the break, I'd mentioned I wanted to talk about some other elephants in the room. There are some people that believe that this trial is bigger than Sean Diddy Combs. Some think that this may be a reckoning of behaviors that they believe has been normalized in the music industry, particularly in hip hop culture. What have you heard that calls attention to the music industry based upon the testimony thus far this week?
Well, it's interesting because, I live in Atlanta, and, we just got off of the YSL trial, and I just saw Brian Steele in court, and he's one of Diddy's attorneys. And it's interesting that he is now here, helping Diddy's team and Diddy's case. And so I feel like there is some correlation between the YSL trial. Of course, there's, those similar kind of cases where, you think about lyrics being into play, and you also think about how it gels well, or how it gels with violence too. And so, yes, I do think that hip hop has had a microscope specifically on the lyrics that we all use, or that artists use in their music. I don't think, though, that in this case, I don't think hip hop is on trial, though. I think that right now we're all trying to figure out if there's any wrongdoing in this juncture. I mean, we're only 3 days in, so I feel like we have 8 more weeks, 7.5 more weeks to go of this. But in this juncture, people are trying to figure out, especially, the jury, they're trying to figure out if there was any wrongdoing. Where's the sex trafficking? Where's the transportation of a prostitute? All of which, Diddy has been charged with federally. So I think for this, I think there is a separation, a difference. There's a different attitude and tone versus, the YSL trial, where it was really like, the state, the city of Atlanta, Fulton County specifically, they were trying to prove that some of these rap lyrics were, were evidence in some of these crimes. What's the word I should say? It's like an enterprise of crime. So for me, I think there are two different things. Although you can argue that hip hop is on trial. There's a lot of artists that are being tried in the court of law. But for this specific case, this federal case, I think it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see if that holds over the course of the next 8 weeks, not 8 years, 8 weeks. We know that there are some pretty high-profile individuals whose names have been circulating, rumored to be on the witness list. We've heard names like Michael B. Jordan, Mike Myers, among others. And so I'm sure things are going to get real interesting on that front. But I've got to also ask you on the Me Too front. To what degree is this perhaps a referendum on Me Too? Remember, the statute of limitations that was expanded in the state of New York was the result of some of the advocacy of leaders of the Me Too movement. Some believing that the expansion of that statute of limitations has gone too far, that Me Too has gone too far. And so what are you hearing from people in terms of the Me Too component of this trial?
Yeah, I think ultimately this is a standard case of, I did not speak up soon enough. And now is the time where I'm stepping up. And, Me Too. And we've been talking about this for years. I think it is a reminder that the Me Too movement that was started, all those years ago, is still here. And there are women out there, specifically Cassie, who said, you know what, now is the time. She wasn't ready back in 2016 when we, saw the video, and he, Diddy cannot be criminally charged for that domestic issue. However, I think now, she, after years and years of sitting on this, and probably in, talks with her husband, finally felt that it was time to speak up. And of course, that falls under the umbrella of, you know what, me too. I have been a victim of, this kind of violence. But again, you cannot also mix Me Too with sex trafficking, I feel like, too. So, you have to be careful, I think. If he was charged with domestic violence or assault, I think we would not be here. I think we would, probably not be talking about this, but we're talking about federal sex trafficking charges and, of course, transportation of a prostitute. And so, I think it's going to be a little bit gray, and I think it's going to be really interesting in the next few weeks when the defense tries to challenge a lot of Cassie's recollection of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, well, based upon what I've been hearing on social media, hearing and reading, it seems this week the defense is holding pretty tough. I've heard a lot of people say that it seems that the prosecution is proving that, yes, Diddy committed acts of domestic violence, but they seem to be a little bit light on proving that he's guilty of the RICO charges that he is being charged with. And so we are really glad, Justin, that we get to tap you, who is there on the ground. We hope that you'll come back again soon and often to give us an update on what you are seeing and hearing in the courtroom.
Of course I will. Anytime, Doc. I appreciate you for having me.
We appreciate you. When we come forward in our second hour, we'll be joined with the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta. The Pennsylvania State Representative is making a lot of waves right now as the DNC Vice Chair. There are calls to follow the rules and do a whole nother DNC election. Malcolm Kenyatta calls this a telenovela. What do you call it? We'll figure it out in our second hour. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Hollywood Park officials plan to build a major movie studio in Inglewood. Black Mayor James Butt says the project reflects the city's growth as a global destination.
Los Angeles County had one international city before. That was Los Angeles City. Now it has a second, the city of Inglewood.
The facility could also serve as the International Broadcast Center for the 2028 Olympics. A federal judge has ordered New York City to hand over control of Rikers Island to an outside manager due to ongoing rights violations. Black Mayor Eric Adams says the city will comply to improve conditions. A final manager recommendation is due by August 29th. And an HBCU Morehouse alum is returning to lead the school as dean. The Board of Trustees has named Du Bois Bowman, a 1992 graduate, to the role. He'll take over July 15th as David Thomas steps down as president after 7 years. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Echo Park on the 101 southbound Glendale Boulevard. It's a stall in the left lane with a slow drive away from Sunset Boulevard. Now in Santa Ana, a crash on the 55 northbound past 4th Street. It's off to the shoulder. This wreck is slowing down the drive all the way from Paularino